reject the idea of toxic masculinity, and you can also reject the idea of healthy masculinity. Neither of them are true to what masculinity is. Masculinity, at its truest essence, is consciousness. It is the space that exists beyond and within and around and in and out of everything. It's the space that the mystics and the spiritual teachers and sages have talked about for thousands of years. Consciousness can be accessed through presence. It's our presence that expressed is our masculinity. Everything that gets labelled under the term toxic masculinity, which could be control, deceit, manipulation, abuse, none of that has anything to do with masculinity whatsoever. Yet with terms like toxic masculinity, it puts shame and guilt into men around being a masculine man. And this is why the majority of men in the West, without their conscious realization, without their knowing, have moved from a more masculine essence or a more masculine embodiment, a more masculine expression, to a more feminine expression, but not even a healthy expression of femininity. Because if a man is all masculine, then he's hiding from his emotions. Because masculinity is basically free from emotions. Femininity is emotion itself. It's the movement, it's the flow, which is expressed through our emotions. So a man who hides his emotions, a man who's afraid to feel his heart, has a lot of trauma that's stopping him from going there. And so he exists in his masculinity solely to prevent him feeling the pain that he associates with the vulnerability and the potential for rejection that comes from being more loving. So there's a lot to unpick here. When I say men are feminine in a more unhealthy manner, it's because we've become quite erratic and just not in control of our emotions, really. So we're becoming very reactional, and we don't really have strong boundaries. And when we do express our boundaries, it comes out in unhealthy ways. So we're kind of locked in this childlike state. And this is basically how most men in the West, how we've got to where we're at. It's because we live in a culture, we live in the societies that have no promotion or understanding whatsoever on emotional healing, on allowing kids to express their emotions so the trauma doesn't get lodged in the body. Now, when we were kids, when we were little boys and things didn't go our way, and we weren't able to express the frustration, the anger, the fear, the sadness, the shame, all of it, it got logged within our system. Okay, it imprints into our nervous system. Now, when things were really bad, were really uncomfortable or painful, and that didn't get an expression, a part of our psyche gets, for lack of a better word, cut off. But it kind of gets detached, and it remains frozen in that time. Okay, so we now are adults. We're men. We're in grown men's bodies, but we have a whole bunch of childlike parts that keep us down in our trauma and not acting and behaving like adults. And that's what's killing our masculinity more than anything. So when we meet women, when we go about business, when we're in the bedroom, whatever it is we're doing, instead of being rooted and grounded and present in our masculine essence, we're drawn down into the trauma and the need for approval, the need for connection, the overthinking, the constant need for a woman to complete us, or the need to get some kind of recognition from our friends for doing, for having a good-looking woman. It means that we avoid tension and fear, so we never really step towards our true life purpose because our bodies are locked in the past. The only way out is through all of this stuck energy we've got, and it can only be expressed through the body, through our expressions. And if you don't go into it, you're always going to be carrying it. And the more of this trauma you have stuck to your body, stuck in your nervous system, the more you're going to seek dopamine to get a sense of security and safety. It's essentially, your nervous system is really only ever in 4 states. Social engagement, which is where we're happy and connected and naturally authentic and grounded. Fight or flight, and freeze. Now, when we're in fight, flight or freeze, we don't feel safe. You could say, like many people will say from their ego, like, I'm safe, I don't feel under any threat. Yet their bodies are expressing pure fight or flight energy. And sure, consciously you can look around and be like, there's no threat around me. But have your body expressing from such a threat, like there is something about to come and attack you. And because we remember everything that happened to us, we carry that threat with us, even when there's nothing of any danger around us. So the more of that we have, the more of it we naturally, our bodies, our minds, ourselves, we naturally want to come out of fight or flight and come into this social engagement, rest and digest state. So we look for something to do that. How are we going to do that? How are we going to feel good, essentially? Because we want to feel good. Well, unless we were taught when we were young how to regulate our nervous system out of this fight or flight state and into social engagement, then how the fuck are we going to do it? Pretty much none of our parents were taught how to do it by their parents. They weren't taught by their parents. We weren't taught by them. So how are we going to do it? How are we going to regulate ourselves? Well, if we don't know how to do it internally, we're going to have to do it externally somehow. And the way most of us do that is through our habits, through our addictions. So we reach for the sugar. We reach for the foods, the fast foods that we know are killing our energy. We go on porn. We take drugs, we smoke, we drink. We excessively think. We're constantly looking to find safety. And if we don't know how to give ourselves safety, we will constantly be seeking it from the outside world through our habits and addictions, but through our relationships as well. That's when things get a bit messy. Now, I've by no means cleared out this stuff in me. Believe me when I say that. I still have these childlike parts that drag me down and keep me stuck. And sometimes it's fucking annoying, it's painful. But I've put in the work and I can see the results from learning to be with my inner child for a start. Learning to not get angry with myself for the way that I'm operating. But also learning that are not these parts. They're not who I am. At the truest essence, coming back to this masculine essence, is our consciousness. Consciousness exists beyond who we are in our physical bodies. And you can access consciousness now. And you may even get a bit of freedom from the thoughts and from the uncomfortable feelings. And you'll be able to exist in this space of just being. There's no need to do. You can just be. And that's you accessing the spacious awareness that is your masculine essence. There's a lot of coaches out there and a lot of pick-up teachers and whatever you want to call them that will promote all sorts of unhealthy, fear-based behaviour that will help you try and get women. A lot of it will work. So if you are solely focused on just getting a woman for your own self, for your own gratification, or for your desire for just a need for a woman, then you won't give a shit about her. You'll only give a shit about you, and you'll be comfortable taking on those techniques because they'll get you something, right? But if you're a man who doesn't want to play games and you want to create and build real connection, then you've got to drop all that shit. Because all that's doing, this performance-based relating, is hiding from the trauma that we've got within us. And so when we're performing, we're avoiding what's real. And that means that we'll never be happy in the relationship. Sure, you'll get some ego gratification, you'll get laid, brilliant. But certainly if you're an older man in your 30s plus, you might see that that's never really completed you. It's never really fulfilled you. And there's something that you're looking for, something deeper. And that, if we get real, is just love. But if we want to access that for ourselves and be able to express that out to our friends, our family, to our women, our lovers, our girlfriends, partners, whatever, we've got to find some truth within, which we do through embodiment. And we do that by coming into our body. We do that by coming out of fight or flight and into this social engagement state, which is the natural expression of who we are, which can only be accessed when our nervous systems and our unconscious mind feels safe. And that can really only be done through practice, unless you're lucky enough to naturally have a nervous system that is constantly in a relaxed, safe state, which is almost no one these days. And one of the biggest reasons for that is technology. Thanks to technology, I can sit here and talk to you, brilliant. But it has a dark side. And that is that it keeps you locked in your head. It keeps you seeking dopamine. Each time you go for your phone, each time you check a notification, all of that is keeping you in that fight or flight energy. Dopamine, which is what we're really after in this search for a habit, it's a survival mechanism. It's a survival neurotransmitter. So the more we do it, the more in survival we get. And survival is linked to the fight or flight response. So everything you desire in this life is really attainable once you come out of fight or flight, which is easy to do at home, but not so easy to do in the real world. But being able to regulate your nervous system and inhabit your body in moments of stress, in moments of discomfort, and we do this through this ancient practice of embodiment, that's when the magic starts to happen. You can practice it now. An area of the body that I teach a lot of my clients to embody is the spine. Like, can you feel your spine right now? Because if you can't, then it might be that there's you know this saying of being a bit spineless. If you think of a man who's like firm and strong with his boundaries, he's going to have a strong backbone. And naturally he will embody his backbone more often, compared to a man who's needy and isn't down the front of his body and is always kind of needy for something. But a man who can sit back and feel into his spine is a man who can have more of that masculine presence because he's more rooted and grounded. So try it out for yourself. Try feeling into your spine. Notice how it feels to do that now. Does it feel uncomfortable? Do you feel nothing at all? Just because you don't feel anything now, don't let that stop you. See if you can spend some time today just feeling with your felt sense awareness into your spine. For most men you won't feel anything, by the way, but please don't let that stop you, because you will start noticing the benefits after a short while. If you want to go into this journey on a one-on-one basis, click the link below. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.